What is it, guys, and I do hope you're well. Welcome to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. If you'd like your story shared, post on the Daddy Crean subreddit and we'll get round to it at some point. And with that being said, let's get straight into it. The first story we have is from the Neckbeard69. Thank you very much. EM expects to walk out of the store with free groceries because her cards are maxed out. This happened last night while I was at the grocery store doing my weekly shopping. I was waiting in line behind a woman in her mid-30s, pushing a double pram and a large shopping cart which was overflowing. After the groceries were scanned and packed, she tried to pay with two cards which were both declined. She made the cashier try the first card twice as she said, "Sorry, this is a new card." This turned out to be a lie as her second card was also declined, but with no excuse this time. She didn't have a single bill in her wallet. Here's where the entitlement starts. Once she realizes she has no way of paying, she starts saying, "I'm so sorry, I'll pay for it next time. Print the bill up and I'll pay for it next time I'm in the store." This is a Stop and Shop, right? A chain supermarket. Lol. The poor attendant is trying to tell her that they don't let people take groceries and pay later, so she starts to become aggravated and starts taking it personally, saying, "You're trying to make my family starve this week," and starts pushing the pram and the massive cart out past the register, at the same time jerking them both back and forth. Needless to say, the manager and fellow customer stop her at the door and advise her to leave before they call the police. She then puts two hands on the cart, leaving the pram, and attempted to push it past two people in her way. When the manager and member of public stood in front of her shopping cart, she realised she wasn't getting away with it this time. She then snuffed her nose upwardly and starts violently jerking the pram and turning it around and screams into the manager's face that she's going to go to Shaw's next time. Needless to say, the manager was like, "Thanks." The kids were in tears the whole time, so you can imagine what a scene this was. I'd love to go into a store and just go, "Yeah, I'll pay for it next time I'm in store, don't worry about it." Like the attendant's gonna go, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh yeah, no worries, I'll see you next time, Karen. I'm sure I will." Thank you so much for sharing that story. Next we have a story from Zaz for YouTube. Be sure to pay them a visit. EM finds out they ran out of red velvet cake, throws a tantrum and tries to steal ours. This story has no dialogue because my computer broke. This happened around 2 hours ago and I'm going to tell everything about it. As you should know, it's Father's Day tomorrow and me and my two brothers set off to a nearby shop to get a gift. After getting our cards, we went to a cafe to get my father some cheese and red velvet cake. It was a small building and there were around 4 tables. We sat on one after we got the cheese and the cake. Later, a family went in. EM looked around 40 and the two children looked around 10. The EM and her two 10-ish-year-old kids waiting for service. Unfortunately, the shop ran out the cake they wanted. Lucky me, right? There was a wide selection of cakes in the shop and the family wanted a cake that had just ran out. The clerk said that they ran out of that type of cake, they can make more tomorrow. And it was the last day to get gifts. The clerk suggested that they go to another shop. The EM was visibly annoyed. We were right behind her. She looked back and saw our cake, the last red velvet cake in the shop. She said, "Hey, how have you got that cake?" My older brother replied, "This is the last one." The cake was in the middle of our table. The two entitled kids were crying in the background saying, "But we want that cake." The kids were kicking the counter. The EM reached to our table and took the cake, opened the door and ran off. We called the police, told everyone that there was a cake-eating monster running around the town. We told the manager and they were eventually caught. The EM was forced to hand back the cake and she was arrested for attempted theft. The kids apologised and waited until their grandparents picked them up. I know this one is short. Thanks for reading. Next story is by Mudduck333. Family vacation? Babysit my arsehole kids. So when I was young, my aunt EA and uncle EU would bring their 4 kids, EKs, to come stay at this semi-cheap but still really fun resort in the Rocky Mountains. They lived in Kansas while we lived in the Front Range of CO. My family was just me, my mum, MM, and my brother, MB. We'd get one of the giant cabins that could fit like 10 people inside, and they end up being pretty expensive. The reasonable thing to do would be to split the price, 2/3 them, 1/3 us, because we had 3 people and they had 9, but no, it was like a half and half split. This ended up costing my mother a couple of $100, which is no small expense for a middle class single mum. We put up with that because hey, they're family. They are much wealthier than us, but are incredibly cheap for some reason. They have a very dysfunctional family and they only communicate through yelling at each other and the kids hate each other. Since the place is only 40ish minute drive from my city, we got there a few hours early and went into the nearest town to grab some lunch and get groceries. We got groceries for our family of 3 that doesn't eat much and go back. We establish ourselves in our respective rooms and wait till they arrive. When they get there, EA and EU take the master bedroom and make sure everyone knows that they're the only ones to use the ensuite bathroom, leaving 6 kids and poor MM to share the remaining bathroom. The kids also immediately start eating the groceries we bought for ourselves, even though everyone had planned to have their own snacks and breakfast and trade off on who cooks dinner. In 2 days, we're staying there for a week, we're all out of the snacks. When we tell EA what's happening, she rolls her eyes and tells us it's not her fault. That night, a few people were playing Clue, and their youngest, I think he was 4 or 5, was very attached to a small yellow game piece. When we finished, I start collecting everything and put it away. I take the game pieces and put them in the box. The EK then starts wailing, "Where's my Lello?" I tell him that I put it away and he runs over to start kicking me. I'm sitting on the floor and he takes my $200 glasses, throws them on the floor and starts jumping on them, trying to break them. When I try to save my glasses, he acts like I assaulted him and starts crying for his mum. My glasses are completely shattered. My mum's insurance doesn't cover vision, so she asks EA to cover the cost of new glasses and then EA blows up. She starts spouting how it was irresponsible to buy me such expensive glasses, and how I should have let them keep the game piece, and how I assaulted her baby. She chalked up my rude manners up to me not being religious. The day after the fiasco, EA and EU want to go golfing on a nearby golf course, renowned for its beauty. They then ask MM to babysit all 4 kids and feed them. They were gone from about 11 till 7, and so my mum had 8 hours of babysitting and had to provide 4 meals to 4 extra children. It was a tourist town, so the cheapest place was still very expensive. They don't reimburse her or thank her at all. Here are some of the other accusations hurled at my family. Number 1, MB was accused of trying to smother a kid. Number 2, MB was accused of being a bad influence. Number 3, I was accused of stealing money from EA. Number 4, MM was accused of making me gay by letting me have long hair. Jesus. Number 5, my mother was ridiculed for getting the kids a cheap lunch and dinner. Next we have a story from Be That Cool Mum. EM accuses my 2-year-old of being trans. So this happened at the park yesterday, and honestly I've been too mad and busy to post. Okay, so there is me, who will be me, and there is Entitled Mother, who will be EM. We both have kids with us, but they didn't speak. So it was an unseasonably nice day outside for summertime. A walk in the park with my kids was a must, so I put them and their double stroller in the car, and off we go. It was a glorious walk, and my kids had fun pointing out trees and ducks. My 2-year-old daughter loves ducks, my 10-month-old just likes chewing on his sleeves. Hey, whatever makes him happy. Eventually we meet EM and her kids. Nice looking kids, seemed okay. The following conversation happened. EM said, "Oh, what cute boys." Both my kids were wearing t-shirts with superheroes on them. Spider-Man for my daughter and Batman for my boy. I'm a nerd, I don't care what they wear, so as long as it's clean. I put my son in a white onesie with blue hearts on it once. You go with what you got. I say, "Oh thanks." Didn't seem necessary to correct her on my daughter's gender. She's 2 after all, who cares, right? "Oh, what's their names? How old are they?" "Oh well, the older one is," insert obviously girly name here, "and this is my son." "What? That's a girl's name. That's not a girl." Me with nervous laughter, not sure if she's joking. Yes, she is. I know her hair's a bit short, hasn't grown out. My daughter has very short hair, and at this age can sometimes look like a boy. It's not a big deal, hair grows, and I'm not worried about it. "I can't believe people like you treat kids this way. It's a disgrace." I'm getting frustrated. "Excuse me? How dare you? You should teach her," she actually made air quotes with her hands, "how to be a girl. Not some effing trans freak. Those are boys' clothes." "Okay, we're done here." EM steps in front of me. "No, you're teaching your child to sin," and goes to grab my stroller. "I'm taking her with me. I'm not going to let her grow up just thinking she can grow a That's not how it works, lady. What the Now when I saw her hand coming at my stroller, and by extension my kids, I did something I'm not proud of at all. I shoved this woman hard. She hit the ground with a very audible thud. I didn't care at the time. Seriously, don't come near my kids or try to touch them without permission. Her kids just looked embarrassed. Hindsight, I do wish I hadn't gotten physical in front of them. Regardless if she deserved it, it's not a good example to set. EM said, "What the f***? She gets back up and tries to reach my stroller again. I say, first, shut up, unless you want a busted lip to match your bruised ass. Second, don't you ever try to touch my kid again. Third, it's none of your business if my kid grows up to be gay, trans, bi, or whatever else she wants to be. It's her business and her business only. Parents should be more concerned with teaching their kids how not to be bigoted, homophobic arseholes. Something clearly lacking in your upbringing. I turned my stroller around and stormed off. It was a ways back to my car, but I was still fuming. Only thing I regret is her kids having to watch their mum get her ass handed to her. Hope they grow up to be normal people. From the looks on their faces, they knew her behaviour was unbecoming. So hopefully that's a start. Now I did call the cops. No, because my phone actually had died on the way back to the park. So it was sitting dead in my car, useless to me. I'm really bad about keeping it charged. The park did have one of those emergency call button things on a post, but they only have the one, and it was on the other end of the park. No good to me, and the lady would have likely have gone before anyone showed up. To you all out there, be yourself. So as long as you ain't hurting anyone, you just be you, and don't just start assuming because a girl is wearing boys' clothes that she is trans, or is being taught to be. My kid is 2, let her be 2, and superheroes rule, and don't touch someone else's kids, just don't do it. Top tip there, never touch someone's kids. Absolutely, I love this whole woman's attitude, everything about it is great. I mean, yeah, she did push the woman over, rightly deserved. But you didn't want to do it in front of the kids, and you're regretful of that, which is fucking fantastic. But fair play to you, much love. Next we have a story from Crackgirl124. Entitled Brother doesn't do any work all weekend, tries to steal money from our mother, gets completely roasted by me. Context, so my little brother, he's 8, and we call him F, is the complete embodiment of entitled kid. He does whatever he wants and tries to boss everyone around. His idea of training his dog, her name is Diamond, is to scream at it until it behaves. As a result, his dog doesn't respond to yells, and his big dream is to own a large farm. But he's 8. He has an allowance, but never does chores. Also, I'm not sure if this fits, but my brother feels pretty entitled. Now onto the story. This weekend has been a pretty busy one for my family. On Friday, we were moving lilies and cleaning out the box where our baby chicks used to live, and started getting the soil ready for this year's garden. Saturday from 10 AM to 6 PM, we spent the entire day out in the garden weeding, pulling out grass, tilling the soil, putting a fence to stop Diamond from getting underneath and destroying the plants, and that morning, F burst into my room screaming that I'm not allowed to sleep in at 6 in the morning. Now where was F this entire time? Sitting on the couch, watching TV for the entire day. On Friday, I asked him to help me move lilies since our dad has a bad back and needed to rest. He ignored me. On Saturday, when anyone asked him to do anything, he would ignore it unless it was something really interesting, like using an electric saw to cut up branches from our dead tree. When Sunday approached and I could finally sleep in before church, I overheard this conversation between my little brat of a brother and my mum. My mum said, "F, give me back that $20. No, I need it for my farm. F, you could have worked for that instead. I know you want your farm, but you can't steal from your mum. Now please get ready for church." F begrudgingly gives back the $20. Now a few hours later when we were at church, F was going through a lot of pictures of tractors on our mum's iPad. He wanted to buy all these tractors for his farm, but not the food or the animals. F said, "Mum, you'll help pay for my farm, right? I can't make money come out of thin air. I have to work for it. Plus, if I use all my money on the farm, we won't have any food, water, electricity, Netflix or Amazon." "Oh, you won't need it when you're working at my farm." M leans over to F. "F, Mum also can't take time off work whenever she likes. Then you need to get a job and help pay for my farm. You do nothing anyways. At least I actually work around the house. Also, aren't we supposed to save up for a PS4 together, or am I going to be the only one paying for that now?" My brother obviously didn't like that and proceeded to punch me in the arm repeatedly until our mum pulled him back and gave him a quiet scolding. He also tried to steal my hard-earned babysitting money, saying it was for his farm, and got mad when I asked him to give it back. Edit, to clarify, my brother wants to buy himself a real farm with livestock and stuff, since it seems like a lot of people are mistaking it as a game. That's what I thought. I thought it's a game? Or has this guy got like a real dream of a massive farm at 8 years old? This guy's going for it at a young age. Edit 2, more entitled things my brother has done. He scratched me and it bled, yet I got in trouble for bopping him in the nose. When he tried to scratch me again, he threw a tantrum when we couldn't find any tape and screamed at us for not knowing where the tape was because he wanted to make a paper sword. Plus he's neglecting his parakeet and I have to take care of her. I know he's young, I know 8 is a young age, But for someone that wants to own a farm with livestock, he's not looking after his animals very well. Thank you for sharing that story. A bit of a crazy one though. Once again guys, much love for being here. If you do get a moment, it'd be really helpful if you enjoyed this, of course, to share this around. It'd be really, really good. Extremely helpful. Thank you very much guys. Take care now. Goodbye.